How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia. And today we want to discuss Joey Gallo, man. He had an interview with NJ.com that just made a single tear roll down my face. And I'll tell you what, it was disappointing. Like the immense pressure that he's been under and the hostility and aggression and negativity he's faced. I feel bad for the guy, honestly. Yes, he's played poorly, but he is also a human being. And I think people have been extremely kind of aggressive toward him, especially in the stadium. The guy won't even leave his apartment. He won't even go into the streets of Manhattan because he's too scared of getting heckled and his confidence is just shot. So we'll read off some of these, quotes to you so you get an idea of what he's been going through, what he's thinking at the trade deadline. He is definitely going to be moved today before 6 p.m. because he's ready to go. He's like, my parents are flying in. We're moving my stuff out of my apartment. I'm getting the hell out of here. So definitely some interesting stuff from Joey Gallo. We'll discuss his season, why we think he could probably have a much better career elsewhere, that, being in the Bronx and the bright lights is not exactly for him. But Ryan, before we dive into Joey Gallo and his current situation, how are you doing today, my friend?
Well, a lot of news going on. I think the Gallo stuff definitely, you read it and it really makes you feel like, damn, like you kind of forget. I think most fans kind of forget, these are people, right? Like, beyond the OPS or the home runs, or the RBIs or the ERA or the strikeouts, these are human beings, right? And kind of speaking more to the humanity of it, this is a guy in Gallo who he grew up a Yankee fan. He wanted to succeed in New York. We've heard countless when he got here, it was like, oh, he was a Yankee fan. He's always wanted to play for the Yankees, and hearing it not work out for him, Yankee fan has at some point dreamed about playing for the Yankees. And I think most people forget, just because you play for the Yankees doesn't mean you're going to necessarily succeed with the Yankees. And him knowing he hasn't succeeded, and that he said he's going to have to carry that for the rest of his playing days. It's hard to hear. It's also hard to hear that he feels he can't show his face around here. Again, I think, yes, there are definitely, he's not the only player to get crap here, right? You think J.A. Happ, Sonny Gray, Aroldis Chapman. There are plenty of guys who've gotten crap here, but in the Gallo case here, I don't think it's that you should only feel bad for Gallo. He's the only player that struggled for the Yankees that you should feel bad for. But more so as a reminder that when these guys struggle, when these guys fail, they're human still, right? And at the end of the day, criticize them as baseball players, but remember, keep in mind their humanity in a sense. I hope that wherever he goes, he finds success and he finds peace within himself to not have to carry this with him. I know I definitely believe the Yankees should move on. I think he has not played well here. There's no other way to put it. And I think he knows that, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. But more so just kind of a reminder that these guys are humans, and there isn't an obligation to shame these guys and to, chastise these guys beyond just criticizing their play. There's no benefit from it, right? Covering baseball, talking baseball isn't better when you make players absolutely miserable beyond just, hey, you haven't played well here and we need better, or, you can't start here, or we need an upgrade, right? Like, I'd be the first one to tell you, Jameson Town should not start in October. You should not. I love Jameson Town. Should not start in October. It doesn't have to go beyond that, right? It doesn't have to go beyond he shouldn't start in October. It doesn't have to be insulting him as a worker or as someone who cares about the sport. Same way with Gallo, right? Not going to criticize his work ethic. Clearly works hard. Clearly cares. It didn't work here, right? And that's really the reality of it. But yeah, these guys are still human.
Yeah, they absolutely are. So, let's take a look at some of these quotes, and I'll read them off to you from Randy Miller of NJ.com. And the first question was, are you ready for this trade deadline to be over? And Joey Gallo says, I am. We'll see what happens. I'm waiting to hear. My parents are waiting to hear. They're going to have to come to New York and clean my apartment out, get all the furniture moved out. And the next question, have you been living in Manhattan? He says, yes. What's it been like for you when Yankees fans notice you on the streets? Are they rough on you from the ballpark too? And he goes, I don't go out in the streets. That one hit me hard. I was like, I mean, come on. Like, Manhattan, like, there's like 9 million people in this freaking city, and he's terrified of going outside. He's terrified of going outside. And then he has to go play in a huge stadium filled with 50,000 people that absolutely hate his guts. Like, that is a tough situation, I feel, for him in that regard. And then, Randy Miller goes, that's sad. And he's like, yeah, I really don't want to show my face too much around here. He wants to get the hell out of New York fast. The question next, he goes, do you spend a lot of time harping over struggling so much? It is as simple as you never really got hot for the Yankees. You always hit home runs in bunches in Texas. We saw Aaron Judge hit 11 homers in 12 games. You did the same thing last year before the trade deadline. You had other home run bitches for Texas, but never really got hot for the Yankees. And Gallo says, I was never able to go off like that. It's just weird. In Texas, I was playing every day, so it was a little easier to get on a streak. It's a little tougher not playing every day, trying to get that streak going as well. But like, I'd argue he played pretty much every day for the first half of the season, and he just wasn't good. You know what I mean? Like, this is just not an environment for him. Psychologically, I don't think he can handle the pressure. Like, obviously, like can't even go outside. His confidence is absolutely shot. He's swinging at everything. He's hanging his head. Like, you just got to stay off social media sometimes. And again, like, social media is just half the battle. You got to actually hear it from the fans in the stadium when you're struggling, especially in those big moments against Edwin Diaz against the Mets the other day. Like, it was almost a guaranteed strikeout. Everyone was watching, like, just waiting for him to strike out. So Ryan, and after hearing those first couple quotes, I'll read the rest of them, but I want to give you a chance to kind of speak on this situation and kind of just how disappointed and how depressed he sounds.
Again, you just feel for the guy, right? Like, everyone knows what it's like to suck at their job sometimes, right? Everyone's had that experience where they have not performed the way they would at their job. But we all kind of get to go home and, just wake up the next day and not really deal with tons of New Yorkers screaming at you about how much you suck. It comes with the job, right? That is part of the job, of course, to have to learn how to kind of not really understand fans, but ignore fans and kind of block them out. But it doesn't make it not difficult, right? And it doesn't mean to become a burden, and it doesn't affect you on and off the field. So this is not a Joey Gallo only story. This isn't just that Joey Gallo's the only person to ever suffer when he is struggling. But more so a reminder, again, baseball players are people. Just because it's part of the job to deal with fans and block it out doesn't mean it's necessarily easy to do. Social media definitely makes it worse, right? Like, I imagine the dude logs on to, if he has a Twitter account, he has an Instagram, I imagine he logs on to anything and he posts anything at all. It's not going to go well for him. So I can't really speak to it because I'm never going to be able to experience that because I'm not a baseball player. I'm not an athlete. I'm not someone who millions of New Yorkers watch every night with critical lenses. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, other guys should get criticized the way Gallo should. I think, if people want to walk away and say, Gallo's, maybe, this guy should get criticized the way Gallo does because they're now the worst in the Yankees if Gallo's gone. No, it should tell you that, hey, the way that we criticized Gallo or the way that people have criticized Gallo was not okay, and we went a little too far, and we should try to use this to not do this to other players and other people because this shouldn't be, oh, well, it's part of the job. Well, let's try to not make it part of the job for players to go be absolutely miserable because it doesn't help anyone. No one's better because of it. No one's happier because of it. No one's getting tougher because of it. It doesn't help anyone.
It definitely doesn't help anyone, but I'll tell you what, like you said, we hopefully can be a little bit better to players. I mean, at the end of the day, like, we want this dude to succeed, right? Like, every Yankee fan should want Joey Gallo to be a good player. Every Yankee fan should want every Yankee player to be a good player, unless you have beaten your wife or something. Like, Aroldis Chapman or Domingo Germán. These guys just are not good human beings at the end of the day. You can learn from these mistakes, but you did those things, so you have to hold you accountable at some point. Joey Gallo is just a good guy. Like, that's the thing about Joey that really sucks for him, is that he's just a genuinely a great dude, and he's just got a kind of a bad deck of cards here, kind of a bad draw. And just hasn't been able to put it together for the Yankees. So hopefully he can go to another team and pick things up. But I'll continue reading these quotes to you guys. So the next question is there anything that you learned about yourself during your time with the Yankees? I went through a lot of adversity, and I really had to question myself a lot. My confidence suffered. I would say I hit rock bottom for the big league. So for me, I was just trying to remember to be a good teammate, play the game the right way, play the game hard, and not do something stupid that I'd regret. I learned a lot about myself, I guess. Baseball is a tough game, but it definitely made me stronger because not many people have gone through what I've gone through. And I think that's a great way to put it in terms of just like Gallo not doing anything that could have hurt him further. Like, he was struggling. He was playing really bad, but he stayed quiet and he helped his team and he did everything the right way, which, like, I give him a lot of respect for. I think I would have just blown up if I were him. I think I would have just been like going crazy at the fans or said something that got me in trouble because I don't think I could take that much hate. And he did a pretty good job, taking it to the chin and like walking away from it. And he seems like he's going to just leave on peaceful terms, which kudos to him for having that type of resiliency. And the next question is Isaiah Conner-Falefa told me Rangers fans accepted you as a low average, a big strikeout guy who had a lot of homers. It's different in New York. He said, coming here, I knew it was going to be really tough. It took a while for people to understand the player I am in Texas. Early on, I was the number one prospect, but I struck out a lot. I was a strange player, but Rangers fans started to understand, okay, this guy strikes out, but he hits homers. He plays good defense. He's a good person. Rangers fans came to understand that. Here in New York, I don't think if you don't get enough hits, it doesn't matter what else you're doing. They're going to tear you apart. I've been a 3 true outcome player my whole life. It's not like I hit 300 my whole life. I've been a 200 hitter my whole life, and I hit 160 here. So I know New York was going to be tough, a tough time and tough place to play, especially the player that I am. And then, Randy asks, Yankee fans were tough on Gary Sanchez for years. You saw the last year some, right? You got it much worse. So yeah, change of scenery helps sometimes. In terms of just going to a contender, they asked other contenders reportedly are interested. I'm guessing you'd love to go somewhere you'll get a fresh start for a club that could end up in the playoffs, fresh start, new city, new fans. I think people are a little sick of me here, so I don't really know what else I can do to at this point. I haven't played well, so I think it'll help me move on. In terms of Yankee fans being too tough, he's like, I don't know how they usually are, but I don't know how much tougher they can get. Pretty much every team we play, players from the other teams reached out to me saying, hey, bro, keep your head up. Don't listen to them. That's bad. Like when other teams are hitting up Joey Gallo on the side and saying like don't take it hard, take it easy, don't listen to them. Like that's how Yankee fans were giving him too much grief. That sucks. What do you think about that? Other teams kind of going out and reaching out to him saying like just you're good, bro. Like take it easy.
I think it kind of speaks to a couple of things. One, I mean, baseball players, they are a community. They are, it's a brotherhood, right? They all understand how brutal fans can be. And I imagine, guys like Gary, guys like, even Giancarlo Stanton can speak to, Yankee fans are brutal when you do not perform. It is really way worse here than if you don't perform in Minnesota, or if you don't perform in Arizona or Colorado or wherever it may be. Stanton, he struck out 5 times in the game, like the first week he spent as a Yankee, and he was booed mercilessly in a game the Yankees were winning by like 5 or 6 runs. I'm not going to sit here and compare Gallo to Stanton because Stanton is clearly, someone who figured it out here. But it's tough to play here, man. It really, really, really is. And, even Gary, right? Like Gary, I don't know a single Yankee. Like I was hard on Gary. I mean, I like Gary, of course, but I thought they should have cut bait after 2021, and they did. But McGarry, I mean, he got it bad ever since 2018, right? The second he had that one bad year, it was rock bottom, right? It was even when he hit well in 2019 or when he had his moments in 2021, it wasn't enough. Yankee fans wanted more. They wanted more. They wanted more. And they would never relent on the guy. Gallo definitely is going to get that outreach from players because they understand, they know what it's like, especially guys who maybe played with the Yankees before. And I think at the end of the day, I again commend the guy for not, going to the media and saying, oh, this fan base sucks, or having an outburst or anything like that. That's how you handle it, right? You handle it maturely like that. You don't have to, when fans go low, you don't also have to go low with them. And Gallo's a professional for that. I'm not going to sit here and rewrite history and say that Gallo was a great Yankee and Gallo, performed the way he should have. And Yankee fans were, they over exaggerated how bad he was here. But definitely he's handled it like a professional. And I think some people have taken it personally with Gallo. And I think that's when it gets way too far. That's when it becomes a problem. And again, I'm glad he's going to get a fresh start. Today's probably when he gets traded. I'd be stunned if he wasn't traded. Absolutely floored. So, I think, yeah, he's gone. I hope he's going to find some peace elsewhere.
Yeah, me too. I mean, look, he's a good guy and he deserves some success, and hopefully he can find the name for himself elsewhere in a smaller market where he doesn't have all this pressure on top of his shoulders. But guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Joey Gallo. This season, what he's going through. Obviously, we've been pretty tough on him, but I wish him well. He's been nothing but class here for the Yankees and has done everything they've asked. And at the end of the day, it just didn't work out. And this happens. At the very least, we didn't pay him on a 10-year contract, and he's not sitting there collecting paychecks like Jacoby Ellsbury. So at the very least, he's leaving. We don't owe him anything after this season. It just didn't work out. Just wasn't a good situation. And he can move on and have a successful rest of his career. So hopefully he finds a good place to land at the deadline in a couple hours. But guys, hope you enjoyed this episode discussing Joey Gallo, everything that's kind of going on with him. Make sure to leave a subscription and like on the YouTube channel as always, my friends, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.